Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel. And the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. And yes, one more therapy session for you folks. Another great recap for you. Lots of stuff is coming in slowly but surely. I've got some new inks to propose for you guys from a viewer and an interested viewer at that. Who sent me some inks. He started his own outfit, and I want to encourage him. And you know what? I'm looking forward to inking those inks, and they look great. They have great names. Hopefully, they'll come out as I suspect they will. We got some new writing instruments. I've got some new paper to propose as well. And you know what? We got the pens revisited. Stay tuned. Lots of comments this week. Some controversy over my inlaid nib video, so that's always a lot of fun. I've got my weapons for next week all lined up, and we're going to take a look at some YouTube reviews, both mine and others. And without any further ado, Fountain Pen Therapy presents the weekly recap for May the 17th, 2026. Okay, so let's take a look at the market news and see what's out there. Now, I'm so glad that I have Taobao as one of my resources, and I know some of you have been getting, it's not easy to get going on that website. First of all, it may first appear on your screen in Chinese. Some of you have asked me to kind of guide you through how to set up. I've got to tell you, it was kind of a hit and miss sort of an experiment for me, and I played around with all kinds of parameters and clicking here left and right. Also asked AI to guide me through the setup. I finally managed to get it done, and I can't recall how I did it. So let me just give you some, at least one pointer in any event. Let's go to my screen. Okay, as you can see, I'm now on the Taobao site. I did manage to that's my, kind of a, you set up. What helped me is this little thing here. I don't know if you could see my arrow right here. This is the translation. Translate this page. And that's what got me going, because then I knew what to click. Now, how I got there, for the life of me, I can't remember. Right now, I'm using Google Chrome. So, look, folks, I apologize. It's not the best. It's not as friendly as AliExpress, but there's too many goodies in here for me not to mention them. So, let's take a look at this, okay? Now, first thing is this pen. It's the Peng Chang Premium Soya Beans, and they all got all these funny names. It's pure titanium, but I really like this pen. I know that Peng Chang, or some facsimile of that, is already, you've seen pens on AliExpress, but this really intrigues me. I did buy, it's kind of a pen that's related to Tag Moon, because I did buy a Tag Moon pen that had a similar nib. But that's the first one I wanted to mention. Now, this is in Chinese currency. And when you do a translation of that currency, let me just get you there. Where is it? Here's my exchange. You're looking at 1 to 20. Basically, 1 Chinese yuan is, 0.20 or 1/5 of a Canadian dollar. So if I click in 179, it gives me 36 bucks. So let's take a look at the rest. This is 99. So 99 is like half. And it's the first Year of the Horse pen that's kind of intrigued me. It's got a Year of the Horse nib. It looks like a very attractive pen, I've got to tell you. Had this been Hongdian, we would all been screaming and going for it. But because it's some other unknown name, and they're not very good at it, the Taobao, but this is the store. It's Shenzhen Pincheng Yupin. This looks intriguing. 99, again, if I go to my converter, 99, no, that's not right, it's $20. Now, most of these instances, you'll be charged for, an expedition delivery, basically. Here's another one. It's another from the same store. Year of the Horse. It's in yellow. That Year of the Horse nib. Very attractive pen, going for even less. If I go to my converter, 79 Chinese currency is 20 bucks Canadian. Again, if this was called Hongdian, we would scream and go. I found this lemon M6A, which suspiciously looks like, a Mont Blanc 146, but it has lemon nibs. If that's of interest, it's $159, so it's roughly not even $30. So that's essentially it for Taobao that attracted my attention. Some of the other stuff I've ordered already. Let's go to AliExpress. I like this. I didn't realize that AdMock 28 came in 2 models, one with a vacuum filling mechanism and the other one with kind of an old push button filler, I think it's called, until I saw Inquiring Minds compared to 2 pens with 2 filling systems. So now I'm thinking that maybe I might do the same. I already have an AdMock 28 with that button filler. So I'm going to order perhaps too bad I can't find this one on Taobao, because I think at 40 bucks it's probably overpriced. What else on AliExpress? I noticed that the Mahjong V60 is also available with that flex nib. So if some of you are thinking about getting the V60 while at the same time with a flex nib, here's your chance. It's just another pen, another Mahjong pen that can accommodate the flex nib. I've been looking for the 628 because I'm going to do an ivory 628, 629, 630, and 930, and I think I finally found one in that. I don't want it in the cigar shape. I prefer it in the, the flat finials. I just prefer silver instead of gold, so I'm going to hold off until I get silver. If not, I'll get this gold one and do a set, and we'll talk about these ivory wing songs in the panel in just a few minutes. What else have I got for you? I got this interesting ink. Now at $31 Canadian, it's a little expensive, but it's is it a 50 milliliter? I think it's a 50 milliliter bottle, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. Many, many colors. I might order a few of these, let you guys know how it turns out. What else have I got? That's about it. Yeah, that's about it for... There's this other ink. I'm not sure I mentioned this. This, again, is a 7 to 75 milliliter bottle. It comes in 4 colors. It looks very interesting as well. And it's only $11. So some interesting inks, some interesting pens. There you have it for market use. As far as non-Chinese sites are concerned, I checked Stilo Stile, I checked Casa Stilografica, Pen Chalet, Goulet Pens. Nothing there that really intrigues me in any event. But of course, you're always welcome to visit those sites to see if there's anything out there that interests you. If you see anything at all that you think would interest me and interest us, all the viewers, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section. And I'm sure that I will certainly follow up if it's worthwhile. I know I've gotten many suggestions, and some of them I go for example, somebody suggested I order some Natami, your Natami pens, but there's Natami inks. I've ordered some, so they should be coming in soon, and we can review them during a recap. That's it for Market News, folks. Stay tuned for the next segment. Be right back. Okay, so we're back. We're going to take a look at the haul for this week. As usual, it's a work in progress. As I tape this recap, and I do it over a couple of hours and a couple of days, I get a head start when I have certain things, and then things come in or knock at the door, AliExpress, Amazon, or whatever other UPS or other courier services deliver more stuff, and then I decide to add things. But we will start with this. I received a gift from an outfit by the name of InkForge, or InkForge. I'm sorry, InkForge, and it's Inkforgeworks. I will show you the website in a second. It's actually there on Etsy store, and he's just starting out, and contacted me on Instagram and said, would you be interested in taking a look at some of my inks? And I said, sure. Asked me my favorite colors, and the rest was history. I received a nice package. The gentleman has mentioned that Warren, I think is his name, mentioned that there are other things in the box as well, other goodies. So what I propose to do is to go to my overhead camera. We'll do an unboxing and see what kind of goodies are included. There may be some inks there that we will, in fact, use for my ink swatching. We shall see. So that's why we're starting with this one first, before we get to the paper and the inks and the pens. Okay, so let me go to my overhead camera. Okay, so here's the box, very nicely wrapped, forged in color. That's a really nice slogan. And it's, hi Vince, hope you enjoy these inks, your friend Warren. So thank you very much to Warren from Inkforgeworks. And all the links will be down in the description. And let's take a look at the goodies that we have in here. Wow, really nice packaging. These are inks, I would presume. So we'll put those aside. And what else do we have in here? Yeah, this is nice. Always nice to use this. It's paper, so... Oh, I've got a bunch of notebooks here, I see. Let me just pull that out. I don't want to make a mess with all this. Wow, it's quite a few. Thank you very much to Warren. What else have I got under here? We'll take a look at that. No, I think it's just wrapping after that. Correct. So we'll take the box aside. Okay, so let's start with the inks. Here they are. Nice decorative stuff. So I got 4 inks here. Interesting. Very nice packaging. Studio Crimson Eclipse. Amalfi Coast. Oh, he picked a good one now. If we're going to get into Neapolitan inspired inks, Amalfi Coast, that's going to be a good one for sure. Radiant Napoli Night. I think this guy knows exactly where I'm coming from. I think I know what pen has to be matched with this Napoli Night, but we'll get to that in a second. And then Ancient Ivy. So, yeah, we've got kind of blues. Got got kind of a green and a red. That's what I told them. My favorite inks are really on the blues, light blues, reds, and greens. So these are going to be 4 great inks, and I think we're going to swatch those for my ink swatching session. So thank you very much to Inkforgeworks. We'll put those aside. What else? What other goodies did he send me? Wow, some very interesting notebooks. Oh, a Graphilo notebook. I like this size. I have a much bigger sized. Yeah, these Graphilo notebooks are always very, very nice. Thank you to Warren. What else? Canopus note. Wow, yeah. Canopus is slated to be perhaps the alternative to not Tomoe River necessarily, although it does compete with Tomoe River, but it does provide an alternative to the discontinued ink of, and I forget, mental blank, Cosmo Airlight. There you go. Okay, and yes, the Usari notebook. That's in the 8mm lined. I don't think I think I have a similar notebook, but in with graph grid, not with the line grid. But I remember reviewing this as well. We've reviewed the Canopus, and I've reviewed the Graphilo. Those are really, I think, are probably included in my Tomoe River alternatives that we will be reviewing at the end once my challenge is pretty well complete. But I'll take a look at exactly what I have and see if any of these are different or if they offer something special that I didn't cover. And if so, I'll come back to them. But once again, thank you, Warren. Very generous gift. These are well appreciated. You can rest assured that they will be used over and over, as most of my notebooks are. So thank you very much. But on to the next segment, which is, now that we have the inks, we're going to look at some paper that I propose for you for this week. And then we'll also take a look at other stuff that came in, including writing instruments. And then we'll go ahead and do the ink swatching with these beautiful inks. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with more paper products. You remember last week that I received this very interesting Traveller's cover that, along with 4 inserts, 3 I believe, yeah, 3 inserts, and along with these plastic kind of sleeves. One is a graph paper. This is the plain paper for sketching, I guess, and I believe I have a lined version as well. And I mentioned to you that last week that the writing came out really nice on this paper, although it's a very thick paper, but I can't complain. There's no ghosting, no feathering, no see-through, not even a little bit. So very good paper. But I had also mentioned to you that I had ordered some Tomoe River paper to go with that, and here they are. These are actually they're Crena notebooks, not Tomoe River necessarily. I believe these are just Crena, and I know that I've been very enthusiastic about the Crena notebooks. I have one here, and I've ordered more. This is the diary version of the Crena paper that I've been using. Really nice. It's really up there in terms of alternatives, as you shall see at the end when my challenge is over. This is really coming close to an Obenichi. Also competes with the Chinese alternative of Komonichi that I've reviewed before, which is the Kimbor, which is this one here. Very similar concepts, except this is kind of freestyle because it doesn't have predetermined dates, but very nice paper. So I figured I'd get more, and these are the notebooks I received. And again, I ordered all of this on Taobao, and I've been really high on Taobao in terms of an alternative to AliExpress and Temu. And we'll get into that in a few seconds because some of you have asked me some questions. But here it is. Here's the paper. Wow. Very nice. Very thin. Tomoe River-ish. As you can see. Very interesting. The outline there is very similar to French paper or French lined paper. Interesting. Has interesting division here. Are they all the same? No, that's the French ruled. I got the grid as well. So let's open that up and see how the grid looks, what that gives. Got them all. So this is the grid. Yeah, something we're used to. That's the grid. This is the dot. So again, folks, if you like Traveller's notebooks, if you're into that, I'm going to try to get into it just because it's so popular and I feel like I'm missing something. This is the dot version. There you go. Again, very, very thin Tomoe River-ish like paper. I got one which is blank. Well, blank is blank. I think you can imagine what it looks like. I want to take a look at the lined. It's one of my favorite. These days I like to prefer to write on line than I do on... I don't like dot grid necessarily or blank, but I do like grid and, graph grid and line. Let's take a look at the line. Oh, very nice. This looks like it's 0.5 millimeters at that. So here you have it. I got all of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to effectively either order a second one so I can put in these, because I hate to waste these. These are pretty good. Take a look at that. That was from last week. Very nice paper. But for the time being, I'm going to shift some of these Crena Traveller notebooks into my Traveller's cover, if you will, and we're going to find something how to use these very shortly. So there you have it. So more paper for the channel and for us to consider and for you to consider. Again, Taobao, really nice. Be right back. Okay, so what I've decided is that I'm going to test this Crena paper from this Traveller's notebook that we just got. Took out the blank version of the notebooks I just received. Very nice paper. I think this should probably really nicely reflect. Of course, forged in color are the inks from Inkforgeworks. And this is Tomoe River pad. So that should give it a good test. The tools that we're going to be using, as usual, are my folded nib for the swatching, and just to write the name of the ink, this Eureka dip pen, which is really doing wonders these days. Okay, let's start with the first one, which is Studio Crimson Eclipse. Now, I don't know if this is looks like either a sheening or a very nice box, by the way, very functional. Opens up. Carefully wrapped. These look like 30 milliliters. Does it mention how many? Yeah, 30 milliliters. Very nice bottle. Good opening. Nice and deep. Let me open this up. As usual, I always have problems. Okay, yeah, it's carefully sealed, which is a nice touch. Sometimes they don't come sealed, and you get, they're all over the place. It's spillage if it's not tightened properly, etc. So that's a nice touch. I like the bottle. Very unique. I don't believe I have another bottle like this, but looks very nice. Oh, let me just shake it up in case this is a shimmering ink. Okay, looks like a nice red. Let's do this. Oh yeah, that is really nice. Wow. Ooh. I think this is quickly going to become a favorite, folks. Because there's a little bit of Yamabudo in there. There's a little bit of ox blood. Wow, that is a nice... I don't think I have that version of red in any of my inks, because there's a little bit of pink, a little bit of dark red. So very nice. So this is INKFORGE. And again, the name is Studio, or Studio is the type of ink, maybe? Yeah. Studio is the type of ink. So this is a Crimson Eclipse. Well, I will mention it. Studio Crimson Eclipse. Let me do the same thing on the Crena paper. Let me just bring it down here. So this is INKFORGE. Wow, that is really nice. Studio. And it's Crimson Eclipse. And you can see how the color is really working out nicely as it dries. Really like the effect on this Crena paper, even more than on Toma River. I think you guys are starting to realize that Crena could be one of my favorites in terms of alternatives. But I don't want to spoil. There's several others that are really, really... And I've been doing a lot of writing lately to come up with a winner. Not easy, I can tell you. Next, Studio, Amalfi Coast. I think Warren understood my bias for Naples and its place of birth. Yeah, I think he understood it perfectly, although he's not the only person who appreciates that region of Italy, nor is he the only person or outfit that names its inks after. And I got to tell you, I remember, let me just, a little anecdote. We're going to relax here a little bit. Let me just go to, I remember going to Capri and decided with the family to take a little boat ride. So the gentleman in charge of this little boat, Neapolitan kind of fishing boat, you know, young man, very exuberant. He had his guitar. He would, he sang Neapolitan songs on the boat for us, and he took us for a kind of a little trip around Capri. That's the best way to visit Capri, underneath near the Faraglioni rocks, near the rocks of love, or the love rocks, where you go underneath and you're supposed to kiss your loved one because it'll bring good luck to both of you. And at one point we'll go much further away from the island. And he said, guys, I want you to take a swim here. So we just kind of dove into the water. The water was just spectacular. And some of these blues reflect that. And hopefully this Amalfi will give me a similar taste. So back to the ink swatching. Here we go. Okay, so again, we'll shake it up just in case there is some shimmer in there. It may be just another, I see kind of a shin. It's difficult to tell from the little swatch that's right on top, but that's another nice touch, I think. It gives you an idea of what the color is. Okay, what do we got here? Oh my goodness me. Warren, I think you hit the jackpot here. Man, oh man, oh man. That is just a gorgeous blue. It just, folks, you know the way I am for Naples and the rest of it, and my Dolce Vita and, you know, my Delta bias, because it's, or my Neapolitan bias. But this just makes it even more exciting. And this is, again, I forget the exact name, it's Studio Amalfi Coast. Oh, very nice ink. Very, very nice. So here, InkForge. Oh, is it coming down nicely on this Crena paper? Ooh. Studio Amalfi. Amalfi Coast. Really nice and smooth. Beautiful blue. Just a beautiful blue. again, it just got a tint that of blue that I don't have in my collection. It's not gunpecky. It's not turquoise per se. It's a little darker, but just right. Just right. Okay, so that's Amalfi Coast. Warren, I think you hit the jackpot here. I got to tell you. Thank you very much. You got to send me more. Send me the rest. Send me the rest. I'll pay for it, of course. Okay, so this is Napoli Night. This, I think, may have some shimmer in it. If I remember what he wrote to me, but I'm not sure. Because he suggested that this go with a particular pen that I believe I have. I think if it's reference to the same pen that I also received as a gift. And I'll show that to you in a minute. Oh, look at that. This is a darker blue. Almost blue back. But, you know, in most blue blacks, you don't get to see the blue. Here we get to see the blue. This reminds me of, I've got to tell you, the sea around Capri. It's this, it's not turquoise. It's a dark blue, clear, very, very, very nice water. So, oh, what am I doing? Got to write. What am I doing? Sorry about that, folks. I'm so excited. I forgot to do the written. I can start to see a little bit of red sheen coming on this, on the Amalfi Coast one, InkForge. Again, it's a studio. And this is Radiant. Oh, it's Radiant, not Studio. And this may make reference to, oh, it's written behind here. I see. Classic are essential inks for everyday writing. Studio are elevated inks, forged captivating color. Document are pigmented inks for archival longevity. Lustrous are sheen-rich inks with a vivid metallic finish. And radiant are ink infused with shimmering brilliance. So this is a shimmering, so irradiant, and it is a Napoli Night. Oh yes, now I can start to see the shimmer. And I know exactly in what pen this is going to go. Let me put it aside. I don't want to spill it here. Even nicer on this Crena paper. InkForge. Radiant. I like the way he describes his inks and with different categories. And he's going to stick to them, I guess, you know. He's got his standard 5 or 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different categories, and then he's going to develop the inks in each. Excellent idea. So Warren, let's make it a deal here. We're going to be ordering one of each. I'd like to get a couple of classic studios I've got now. Is the other one Radiant? Now the other one's also Studio. So I'm going to need, I don't like Document because I don't want to, Document are usually pigmented and they ruin your pens. So I'm not a fan of that. But I would like to get a couple of Lustrous and maybe a few more Radiant. So we shall put in our order in due course. And as I speak, I have asked Warren to provide me more information. And I may get that information as I'm reviewing these inks and as I am doing the swatching. And as soon as that information comes through, I'm going to share it with you. Okay, so the next one is Ancient Ivy. So it's a green. Again, I'm having, with my tremor, my hands, I'm always having difficulty unwrapping things, but here we go. It's not difficult per se, just difficult for me. Come on, Vince, you can do it. It's a stubborn one. Okay, there we go. So let's look at the green. Again, I'm going to give it just a little shake. It's a studio, so, you know, it needs a little bit of shaking because it's just not a standard classic ink, as he mentions his categories. So this should be nice green. Oh, really nice. It's a nice dark green. You know, I'm always looking for an alternative to Mont Blanc Irish green, and this may prove to be one of those. So this is INKFORGE. It's in the studio category. And it is green ivy. Let me just move that before I spill it. And boy, does it really nice. It just flows. Very wet ink. I think it really likes this Crena paper. Take note, Warren, you might want to look into this Crena paper, because so far, man, is it doing a nice job. It's just right, you know. I mean, you know, what it's doing with the Toma River is expected, okay? But in these alternatives that are still, for me, experimental, like Crena and others, you know, it's very interesting. I think I'm going to do a separate video. I'm going to ask Warren to send me a bunch of other inks and maybe do a more comprehensive look at all these inks, because they're really, really nice. So there you have it. They're done. What we're going to do is we're going to allow all this to kind of settle down and dry. I can see that these are kind of almost dried. The rest are coming. And we'll take a look at how it all unfolds in just a few seconds. Be right back. Okay, so the drinks are dry. The inks are dry. So the drinks are dry as well. I can tell you that. I'm drinking espresso right now. First of all, in Toma River, look at that, beautiful. Isn't that nice, that eclipse? That crimson red, really, really nice. I think there's a little more pink on the Crena paper than there is on the Toma River. Toma River, you got that gold sheen, some shading, very nice, similar to that Dieman ink, I think, that we all love. Then we have INKFORGE Studio Amalfi Coast, beautiful red sheen. You can also see it in the handwriting there. Very nice. Comes out really, really, really nice. And of course, Napoli Night, you'll see the gold shimmer against the light. It's a dark blue, almost blue-black. Got some purple shading there as well. But the gold really, really sticks out very nicely. And I think I know the pen that's going to go in. Then I love this green because it's a nice dark green, some shading, and a nice red sheen. That should look really nice, especially in a broader nib. On this Crena paper, you know, we can look at the ink and the paper at the same. Oh, just to show how it behaves. Behaves very nicely. Look at this. Normally, inks would kind of, you know, do a lot more ghosting than this on Toma River. Even the see-through, their bleed-through on big swatches is very, very reasonable, especially on this thin Toma River paper. So the ink behaves extremely well. Take a look at the Crena paper there. You see a little more pink on the Studio Crimson Eclipse. Little less, no, the sheen is there as well on the Amalfi Coast with some shading. Less shimmer on the Napoli night on this Crena paper, but just enough that you could see it against the light. And the dark green, very similar. You got some shading. You got that green sheen, so very nice. Let's see how the Crena paper does on the other side. Again, congrats to the ink. There's, the ghosting is very minimal for this type of thin 52 GSM paper, and so is the bleed through. That means that ink is not a messy ink, So congrats, Warren. I think you got some winners here. Keep going at it. I encourage you to go ahead with your project. Very nice, forged in color indeed. So those are my new inks for the weekend. We're going to get more of these inks, and we'll feature them on our station. I really would like to encourage Inkforgeworks. The independent, small guys. They're not the huge Pilot, Aeroshizuko, or Dieman. I always like to encourage the small guys. So there you have it. Beautiful inks. Beautiful inks. Be right back. Okay, so we've done the paper. We've done the ink. And man, am I looking forward to putting that ink in some of my pens. But stay tuned. One thing at a time. So let's look at what kind of a haul I have in terms of writing instruments per se. I ordered this beautiful Lift Plus wooden barrel. It's the Lift Plus wood mechanical pencil. Again, my understanding is that this is very difficult to get a normal, Western type of sites like AliExpress, or even AliExpress doesn't have it, I should say. Any of the regular offerings you won't find in North America. This is kind of really popular in Japan, and I believe that I got this through Nyokyo, the site, again, an alternative site that I'm promoting, not because they're giving me anything, it's just that I think it's an alternative place to purchase pens, and that I've reviewed before. In fact, Doodlebud has done a whole, he's promoting it. He did a whole video on it. And this pencil really intrigued me. And I saw it being reviewed by one of the Japanese reviewers. I forget if it was Fudefan that reviewed this, or one of the others that I tendency to look at. Let's just see what it says here. It elevates writing instruments from mere tools to a part of a lifestyle. The mechanical pencil proves that Lift Plus is more than just a writing instrument. It's 0.5. It's wood. And let me tell you, this wood, I want to make sure that we can focus properly. Why is it not focusing? Give me a second here. We'll do this right. Okay, we're back. This really shows. Look, first of all, it's got faceted. Very nicely done, I got to tell you. It's kind of round, upper portion, barrel, and the finger section, or the grip section, is faceted. And it's nice because no matter where you put it, it works out fine in terms of your grip. What does it have here? Does it have a? Okay, it does have a. Oh, it's even got a tool to, take out any stuck lead, which is nice. I guess the leads go in there. I'm not gonna. There are some leads in here. Very nice. That is a really, really sharp looking writing instrument. Now, this doesn't kind of line up properly, I think, because if you put your fingers here, for those of you who are a little bit OCD like I am, I would have to hold the pencil on these grooves here, which is not comfortable. If I land my fingers properly on one of the facets, then this is just slightly off center, but that's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It certainly doesn't interfere. So we'll do some writing with this in a few seconds on that crane paper or Crena paper. So that's the first. Second thing is, I think I mentioned it before, I already own, let me just take out a pen tray. I already own a bunch of ivory Winsung 930 is this big one, okay? And I like the flat top version of this pen. I also have two similar versions of the 630, again flat top. And I wanted to add to my collection by ordering this one. And this is what I'm proposing this week, which is, let me just make sure this is focusing. This is the 629. Now I have a 629 already in kind of the cigar shape with a 14 karat nib, but this one is a regular steel nib from Winsung, and it's a 629. So I thought that I would add the 629 to my collection. As you can see, and again, I don't know what's going on. Here we go. They're just, actually, if we just descend them so that we don't. The 629 is pretty well the same length as the 630, but it differs in the width. The width is much thinner. And stay tuned, folks. I'm still looking for my 628. I found one in the ivory, but it's in the cigar shaped. I would love to get it in the flat top to kind of complete my collection. But this is what's new in the channel this week. We're going to ink this up with one of those INKFORGE inks. We'll decide in a few minutes, and we'll test that nib and show you what it's all about. So that is my additional Winsung, and these 630, 930, 629 are amongst my favorite pens. They're always on my mind, no matter what I'm doing. When I'm doing my journaling, my doodling, I always end up taking out one of these. This one in particular is just the extra fine, has made me fall in love again, or I shouldn't say again because I never was, but it's making me fall in love with very good extra fine nibs. So that's a novelty for me. I usually don't enjoy extra fine, but I sure enjoyed it with this one. So let's put that aside. So that's the second writing instrument. The third that came in this week is, again, something I purchased on a auction site, Invaluable, and I won the auction. So I got a pretty good deal on this. I forget what I paid, but it was very good compared to what these things are going for on eBay. It's a Pelikan. I think it's a vintage because I don't recall ever seeing pens like this recently. Again, my camera is playing tricks on me. It doesn't want to cooperate. Let me just focus, baby. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Here it is. So I think it is a vintage because I don't recall ever seeing a pen like this in recent offerings by Pelikan. It says on that, let me just take out my glass so I could read it. It says Pelikan, Germany. So it's not West Germany, it's just Pelikan, Germany. There's the bird. Can we see it? Is it focusing? Yes, it is. Nice clip. The clip doesn't appear to be a clip that you normally find. Let me just try to pull out a Pelikan. I should have one not too far away, hopefully. Do I have? Yeah, here it is. This is my M400. You see the clip is a little different. I don't see the eyes of the beak of the Pelikan, but it does have that kind of curl, similar but different to the M series. But I really like the way that bird appears. It's got one chick at the bottom. It is snap-on, and it's got that kind of nib. And it is a 14-karat nib. You can see the feed. I believe it's a piston filler, although I have not opened this. I'm opening it as you and I speak. Oh, I see. It's a cartridge mechanism that is inserted. Now, why isn't it opened? Interesting. I don't know how that gets put into play there. I'm going to have to figure that out. But very nice pen, I can tell you. Very attractive. Does it post? Wow. Posts even nicely. Wow, they should make pens like this with normal nibs. They would be, I'm telling you folks, it would be very, very popular. Take a look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Got a really good price for this. So I'm looking forward to inking this once I figure out how to do it. And maybe I don't know if there's any instructions in here. No, there isn't. So I'm going to look it up. The name of this pen, the precise model, is, I'm reading from the website, Pelikan P363 Epoch, EPOCH, Full Verdenhalter. I don't know what that means. Maybe fountain pen. 2006, apparently. Very nice. Very, very nice. I'm looking forward to writing with this. But first, we've got to figure out how I'm going to ink that pen. So there you have it. In terms of my writing instrument pen haul for this week, there you have it. So first and foremost, we have my Pelikan. Then we have my 629 from Wingsung. And we have my Studio Plus wood. I guess I have to do it the other way. Pencils are always the opposite. So I can see the name there. So that's what I got for you folks. Oh, yeah, that's it. The rest are part of the revisit. So there you have it. That's the writing instrument haul for this week. We're going to ink those up and try them all on that Crena paper that we just took a look at, and maybe even use some of those new inks we just received. Be right back. Okay, what I propose to do next is we'll do some writing with those new instruments that were writing instruments we received. I've got my Cafe Crena Traveller'S note in the lined version, so we can do some writing. And I don't know what it is with my camera today, but it's just not cooperating. You see how it keeps shifting on me? Just very terrible. It's like the weather outside. It just doesn't want to cooperate. I don't know about you guys, but in Montreal, we're getting crappy weather. It just looks like spring is, it just doesn't want to give us sunshine in any event. Okay, let's start with the pencil first, which is the Life Plus in wood. It does have it had a very thin, not very dark lead, so I replaced it with a 3B, so it should be a little darker, which I enjoy. So this is the Lift. Is it Lift Plus O Plus? Whoa, this one's breaking too, though. Lift Plus, look at this. Is it got something to do with the pencil or just Lift Plus wood? I'm going to try to be as gentle as possible. I guess I have to put a hard nib in there, or a hard lead. It's just me this morning, kind of pushing on this pencil, but it's just a gorgeous mechanical pencil. Really nice, exclusive, limited edition. Very nice addition to my collection. Next is this Wingsung 629, and I've put in here the, which posts very nicely, by the way. I put in here the Amalfi Coast light blue, I believe. So this is the Wingsung 629 in the ivory finish. The nib looks like one of the Wingsung steel number 6. Those kind of fine medium nibs that they have on their old number 6. I think this is not, this doesn't represent the new one. I think, well, I'm not sure anymore. I'm not sure if this is the old design or the new design. In any event, oh, it does give you an indication of the, it's a fine. Okay, it's a fine. Very nice, folks. So those of you who want to enjoy the pro gear look, just a little bit bigger but thinner as opposed to the 630 and the 690 or the 930, here you have it. As you could see, the thickness as compared to the 630 and the 930, why don't we take out, and I don't know what the 628 looks like, but you could see the 3 sizes there. And yeah, this is the new design. This is the old design. You can see the new design here on this 930 and 630 as compared to the middle one, which is the 629. So you can see 629 in the middle has a little bit, you know, it's a little thinner in terms of the section. Very nice. Okay, so why don't we do some writing with the 630, just because I've got that blue ink in there as well. And it's in that extra fine nib that I really like. So this is the, oh yeah, Wingsung 630. Again, it's in the ivory, but the nib is a new number 8 steel extra fine nib. Really extra fine line, but wet and juicy. And this ink is just right. Wow, I'm gonna have to order quite a bit because I can see this ink going in my pens, folks. Look at this, all blue, because that's the problem with ivory pens, is that the ink kind of stays there. Oh, I'm messing it up even more. That's the disadvantage of having, you see the ink smudges? If you don't have the right cloth, it'll keep smudging. So you need kind of a wet cloth to get rid of that. Apologize for that. Okay, so far that ink is beautiful. So we've done the Wingsung. Let's take a look at the Pelikan. Now I figured it out. It's very simple. When you took out the cartridge, it was upside down. You just had to turn it around, and then as you screw it in, the cartridge pierces. I've been having some problems. It's taking a long time to get to write. I've put it, face down. So let's see if it writes now. Actually, before we go to the next pen, I just want to see how this paper reacts to this monster, which is the 930 with that broad number 9 size nib, which is really juicy. This is the Pope pen, as I like to call it because of the inscription there. This is the nib is a number 9 steel broad nib. And I don't forget what the ink is. It's not one of the inks we just swatched. From the looks of it, it looks like a sailor ink. It's probably this ink here. Sailor blue, but I could be mistaken. Just beautiful. Maybe we'll just add this one. I'm not sure this is writing. Let's test it. This is a 630, and I think it's got Yamabudo in there. But this is the one that has that, whoops, let me just focus here. That stub nib. Come on, right on me. You could do it. It's a little dry. But it's just a good test for the paper. So let's see how that works out in the back here before we go to the next writing instrument. Not bad. Even with that thick, some ghosting, but very acceptable. It's Tomo River quality, folks. Very thin, as you can see. So I'm very pleased so far. Okay, let's look at the Pelikan. To see whether or not the ink has managed to go down. It's taking a long time, I can tell you that. Maybe it's because it's just a very old cartridge and it's having, it's kind of dried up a little bit and maybe it's having some difficulty going down. But that's one of the reasons why I don't like cartridge. Folks, if you know anything about this pen, does it have I don't think it has a mechanism. Because when you look at the cartridge mechanism, it's impossible for it to have a converter. I don't think. You see, what it had was the cartridge was upside down, so of course it didn't have an opening, but then you got to turn it the other way, and it's supposed to go down, but the ink is having a hard time. Now, is the opening there open? Let me just let me see if I could just prod it a little bit. No, it appears to be open, so but this is not the first cartridge only pen that has difficulty with the ink coming down, and we'll give it a little more time and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back with this new Pelikan pen that we mentioned earlier. I got to tell you, I've had a hard time getting that cartridge to bring some flowing ink into the nib. Not sure what's wrong. I removed the cartridge. I emptied out that cartridge, filled it up with brand new ink. I also washed out the nib section and the interior of the barrel just in case there was something lodged in there. I let it sit with the nib downwards capped for quite a while. I just want to see what gives. It's too bad. It looks like it might be an interesting pen, but if I can't get it to write, then there's not much point to it. Let's see what gives. So again, this is that lined Cafe Crena Traveller'S notebook. Okay, let's use this side. So this is okay, well, I'm getting at least some flow now. Pelikan. And I'm looking at my notes, P363. At least that's description on the site. And they refer to it as epoch. The nib, there is an indication that it's a 14 karat, and on one of the sides there's a B. So it's a 14 karat broad nib. No, okay, the flow, I think I've got it writing nicely. The ink, it's skipping a little bit, but the ink is sailor blue. Now you see there's a little bit of inconsistency there. Got to see if maybe I've got to play a little bit with those tines. It's unfortunate because the pen is extremely attractive. If anybody has a pen like this, let me know what I should be doing to this nib. Maybe just a little passing of, fine tool in between there, and maybe just a little bit of mesh on that nib might do it some good, because it is an extremely smooth and fairly wet nib when it writes. Can't really, fault it. The problem, I think, it's in the flow and the consistency of the line. I'm going to put arrow now down. It's a downer, unfortunately. It's not perfect, as you can see. See, it gives me some flowing issues there that, look, I skipped the H there. The A is not, so it's kind of doing what my Lamy 2000 is doing to me, and we'll get back to the Lamy 2000 because I've got a surprise for you. But there you have it. So beautiful pen, but not a greatest writer, not so far. But this is the type of pen that I love to play with and find a solution. If you've got a solution, let me know. I'm going to try to find one, and it's a great pen to revisit. If I get it going, I might actually do a separate review on this pen, see where it comes from and what it's all about, and do some, searching. It's just that matte gold finish, silver finish, this kind of plasticky, rubberish barrel, beautiful piston here, or just a finial. Very nice pen, but it's got to write, otherwise not much point to it. So there you have it. That's the Pelikan. Before we go to the next one, I just bothered to look at, I looked up Pelikan P363 Epoch, and I found a video from Doodlebud. He had bought I think there's a 360, a 361, 362, 363. This is the 363. But when he opened up his 360, which has a very similar nib, the first comment he had made when he looked at the nib was that he thought the tines were a little too tight. And he proceeded to use his own tool to get those tines a little wider. So what I thought I'd do is, Inquiring Minds is this little test where he presses down on the nib. I think it's 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With this 7 here, this is what I'm getting. I've done it again. Let's see if it improves. It definitely does. I think I solved it, folks. Well, there's a little bit of skipping there again, right there. It's not perfect. But what I think I'm going to do, there again, is remove that nib, remove the feed, wash it out, and maybe play around with the nib a little more. And stay tuned. It's going to be a good pen to revisit maybe next week. I'll play around it during the week, and then we'll see what we can do with it. Be right back. Okay, so we're back with the next segment, which is Pens Revisited. Now, I think I'm going to have a really fun revisited segment this week. And it's all because of your comments, folks. I need comments. I need controversy. I need dispute. I need debate. That's what makes all of this fun, right? And in particular, you know that this week I put up a video on the Battle of Inlaid Nibs, and I had 3 to propose, and only 3, and that's part of the controversy. The Schaefer Legacy, which I called the Innovator, the Waterman Edson, which I called the Giant, and the Waterman Karen, which I called the Survivor, because amongst the 3, or it's the only one that's still being produced, And that's where first subtlety enters the picture. Yes, Schaefer Legacy is being produced by an Indian pen maker. I think he's called William Penn. I forget. He's kind of acquired the Schaefer brand, and he did put out, or that outfit put out, a Schaefer Legacy with a steel nib. Now, to the extent that it is not the gold nib that the original Schaefer company produced, and until they do, I don't think we compare the two. Okay. From what I understand, the Schaefer Legacy steel, some people like it, some people don't, but it's certainly not the Schaefer Legacy 2 that I propose in my inlaid nib battle, if you will. So just a distinction. But you're correct. Those of you who pointed it out, you're correct to say that the Schaefer Legacy, to the extent that it has a steel nib and it's been kind of resurrected, is being produced today. Now, I don't have a Schaefer Legacy steel nib. Frankly, I'm not going to spend $280 US, I think it is, for that pen either. When and if and when it comes out with a gold nib, I may be tempted, just for comparison purposes, but for the time being, I'm going to stay away. Okay? So that's that issue. The next one is that maybe I'd forgotten some pens, and the regular suspect came up, which was the Pilot the E95S, and perhaps others. And then it got me to go back into my collection to take a look at whether or not I had forgotten a few. And in fact, some of you mentioned that Schaefer had several, what you can call, inlaid nibs. So why don't we go to my overhead camera and I'll show you what I want to revisit as part of this segment. It's the Pilot E95S. And there may be other versions of this pen as well. I understand that it's a nicely priced 14 karat nib pen, but I just don't think it deserves all the praise that it gets. And let me explain. This pen, for me, and maybe it's mine, has a tendency to dry up on me. I don't know if that's the same situation. The reason why I don't use this pen is because of its converter. It's just an awful, awful converter. I don't know how much ink is in there. Maybe I'm misinterpreting, dry nib issue with the fact that it has no ink. I do like the way it caps very comfortably. I like the way it writes. It is fairly smooth. Okay, I can't complain about the quality of the nib per se, but I just don't think it's in the same league as my Edson, my Crena, or my Schaefer. That's just my point of view. But I can understand why some may want to put that in that category. Okay, the next one is that I forgot, frankly, is the Schaefer White Dot. This little pen here, the Targa. Let me just see if it writes. Yes, it does. Schaefer Targa with that gold nib may have deserved a place in the battle, because that's an inlaid nib, folks. Okay, it does have a similar nib to the Schaefer Legacy in the sense that it has that diamond shape review. By the way, can anybody tell me whether or not, and let me just maybe, it is the same. It's as thin as this is the Parker 95, which I'll take a look at next. When I compare it to the Legacy, just to show you how thin it is, I'm not sure whether I have a Targa, because there's a Targa Slim and a Targa regular size, and I haven't been able to figure out whether or not this sure as hell looks slim. But was there a Targa that was a little bit bigger than this? Am I mistaken? Is this the slim one, or is this the bigger one? I can't conceive of a pen being even slimmer than this one. But this one, folks, may have should have had a place in the review, and I apologize. I totally forgot about it. That nib is delicious. Now, one of the problems with this nib is that I haven't been able to find a converter, and I'm not even sure it comes with a good converter. I borrowed one from, I think this is a Kaweco, I forget now where I borrowed, or maybe from a Chinese pen. And I just having great difficulty finding a nice converter that fits. So you have to resort to cartridge, and just cartridge pens for me never work. Okay, the flow is not ideal. To demonstrate that, there's another Schaefer that I forgot about, and which is the Imperial. This is the Imperial, which is kind of a smaller sized. And there's another Schaefer by the name of for FPM, for something men. I forget now what the exact FPM or PMF. And it has inlaid nib. That one I'm looking for. I don't have one. This is the Schaefer Imperial. It also has an 18 karat nib, but it just hasn't given me the same writing experience as the Legacy. But here again, to be fair, I think it should have been included in the battle. But I can tell you right now, it would have lost the battle. At best, it would have come after my Targa. It doesn't, at least mine doesn't have the same characteristics as this Legacy, but it does have that inlaid nib. So, controversy, because I did forget this one. Speaking of which, let's go back to my Parker 95. I don't have a Parker 51, some of you suggested, but my understanding is that a Parker 51 is not an inlaid nib, but a hooded nib. And this is kind of a semi, I don't even think you could say this is an inlaid nib. This would certainly be probably a hooded nib, or at least a semi-hooded nib. So this is the Parker 95. And again, it's cartridge. No, it's not cartridge. It's one of these push. No, it is cartridge, and it just doesn't work. Okay. These cartridges are hit and miss, in my opinion. And I don't think that this Parker 95, which doesn't even write, can even rival with the rest. What else have I missed? Now, one of you, and I'm not sure whether or not you were referring to this pen or another pen, mentioned the crest. It was described as the Yunlai TI 2000 crest. I'm not sure that this is the pen that's being referred to. On the description of where I buy it, it says vintage Japanese crest. This is the pen. It looks like an inlaid nib, or kind of a combination of an inlaid and that Triumph Schaefer nib. But it writes beautifully. So this is, I'm going to call it the Japanese crest. Take a look at how it writes. It writes superbly. I spelled therapy wrong. The problem with this nib, with this pen, is that it dries up on me. It has one of these contraptions, which I hate with a passion. You never know if you have ink or not. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. And then this thing dries up on me really quickly. Now, is it because of the converter? Or is it because of just the nature of the beast? Which is too bad, because I have really tried to give this pen a go. And when I ink it up, it just writes beautifully. It writes like a gold nib, frankly. Juicy, wet, smooth, just a hint of feedback. Really, really nice. I have no qualms about the pen. It's light. I prefer this one over the Pilot E95S. This is juicy, wet. It just dries up on me, folks. I don't know why. Maybe it's the cap. And it's just too bad. But there you have it. It kind of does have, the kind of the look, right? So it might just be a Chinese knockoff described as a Japanese Crest pen. The person who mentioned Crest, get back to me and let me know if this is the one you were referring to. If it's TI, it doesn't appear to be titanium. So that gentleman must be referring to something else. But I did want to mention that one. Then, of course, there's pens that look like this, which I'm not sure, what these would be described as. Are they inlaid or hooded nibs or semi-hooded nibs? They look like Schaefer. Let me just get my Schaefer vintage out. I'm back. Sorry about that. I couldn't find it. It's this one here, and now I forget the exact name of this pen. In fact, we just dealt with this not too long ago in one of my reviews or one of my recaps. I think that's what they call the Schaefer Triumph nib, but I'm not mistaken. Now, is that an inlaid nib or not? I'm not sure. But yeah, I have a similar nib in this Wingsung 601A. With a modified nib, which is really fabulous. Let me just see if it writes. Here, we'll go on this other page. Okay, here we go. Wingsung 601A. Really, really a nice writer. But again, I don't think you can put this cheap Chinese pen, in the same category as the three that I reviewed. That's for sure. What else we got? We got another similar one. I think this is the Wingsung 233, again with that kind of semi-hooded or semi-inlaid, I don't know what you would call it, nib. Does this thing write? May not even write. Wingsung, yeah, it's not writing. It's the Wingsung 230 or 633 or 233. We've got another one. This is kind of a Parker, another Wingsung 329, which is kind of, a hooded nib with a little insert that kind of tried to imitate an inlaid nib, but it's not. It's just decorative in nature. And again, although it may write nicely, it just doesn't hit the mark. I mean, you can't compare this to the three pens I reviewed. So there you have it. I think that the three pens that I reviewed, I think we should give them another look, do deserve the praise. This is and folks, if you can get one used, go for it. Schaefer Legacy. And you know what? At some of these auctions, I've seen them go for very little, for very good prices. And they are readily available. They are not rare. That's the Schaefer. We've got to revisit the Edson. What a joy to write with this pen, especially with that stub nib. Just fabulous. Really, really nice. You can't beat that. And my Crena, which, as one viewer mentioned, has this very unique writing experience. Just that hint of feedback, similar to Sailor, but not quite like Sailor, but makes it very enjoyable. Again, especially in their new formats or new models with nice caps, the Paris, the Opera, or even the green one, the brown one, the amber. Very nice. I'm looking out for them. And I want to get other nibs that go with the Crena. Understand there may be stubs and broad nibs. If I can get them on, at a good price at an auction, I will go for them. I have two Schaeffers. I have this other one as well. This is kind of a silver or, silverish color. The other one is gold. Oh, by the way, somebody asked me to compare, now that I'm at it, and because I do have the pen readily available, compare the size of the 930 to the Edson. Let me just put that in perspective. Here they are. So, the 930 is huge. I mean, not even compare. You can't even compare. The 930 is just a huge, huge, giant pen. But it does compare to these two pens. As you can see, this is the Sailor King of Pen, and this is the Montblanc 149. So you could see that it does compare. Maybe not in girth, but certainly in length, and in certainly it's as big. It's a big pen. It's not a small pen. Just very unique, very unique. So there you have it. I think we've revisited those. Okay, next segment, weapons for next week. Well, guys, we're going to stick to the Neapolitan theme, especially after we've received an ink that's called Napoli Night. And the other one, where is it? The Studio Amalfi Coast. I think we have no choice but to stick to the Neapolitan theme. But this time, we're going to get even closer to those inks in terms of names. And we're going to do some Delta. In fact, I split it. I just chose, 8 for the weapons. And we'll add this week, this Wingsung 629, along with this Pelikan P363 Epoch. So we got 10 pens there. And maybe we'll subtract one and add the pencil as well. We shall see. But there you have it. Those are the weapons for next week. And I'll tell you what inks I have in these pens, and we'll take it from there. So let's go back to my sampling journal, which is this beautiful Crena notebook. Here we go. Let's start out with this one. Now, here I'm not sure what inks. These two pens, the first two pens were already inked. I'm hoping they still write. So this is going to be weapons. Yeah, they're writing. For next week. And what week it is, it's May the 17th, 1705, 2026. Okay, so this is the Delta DV version 2.0. And it's got the Yowo, there's a 1.1. Yeah. Yowo number 6 steel 1.1 stub. Beautiful writer. There we go. Very nice. Actually, why don't we get a little bit closer here. Okay. So that's the first pen. The next pen is this Delta. It's kind of Dolce Vita, the Dolce Vita model, if you will, but it's the Red Blue Moon. So this is the, well, I thought there was ink in here. You know what? I forgot to put ink in here. Well, let's come back to it. There we are. It's inked up. It's inked up with this Studio Crimson Eclipse. So this is the Delta. Wow, really matches this pen. Whoop, little bit of baby's bottom there. Probably didn't dry it off properly. Red Blue Moon. Ooh. It's got, again, a number 6 steel Yowo. 1.1 or 1.5? 1.1 stub. These are my early purchases, as you can tell, because they're all stub. It's a beautiful red. Very nice red. Works really nicely with this pen. Okay, now, this is the pen that I was talking about putting into with this, or matching it with this ink, which is Napoli Night. This is my Napoli, Delta Napoli, a gift from a very, very generous viewer. I noticed I didn't clean off the ink off the section. So this is the Delta. Oh, this nib is perfect. Napoli. And it's got a Yowo number 6 steel. And it's a, is it a fine or an extra fine? It's the fine flex. Fine flex or elastic nib, as some refer to it. Really nice nib. Probably my best Yowo flex nib. Just the way it's tuned. Very nice. And you're going to see the gold shading on this, or the shimmer on this ink kind of matches the gold and the blue. And the gold that's also in the resin and in the barrel. It's a perfect, perfect match. I've also put the same ink into this one. This is a more, been around for quite a while. This is what they refer to as the Delta Journal. I've got it in different colors. This has a Delta 14 karat stub, which is really like a 1.5. Very nice. There we go. Okay, so that's the Delta Journal. Why don't we go to this side? Might as well. This is a vintage Delta. I have no idea what it's called. Never been able to figure out what the name of this pen is, but it's in a vintage that I bought off a auction house. It's got a 14 karat nib. So this is the, I'm just going to call it the Delta Vintage Silver Blue. Got a Delta 14 karat nib, and it just writes so spectacularly. Again, a type of pen you just pick up and it writes. It never dries up on you. Don't know why I don't use it more often. Ah, One of my favorite pens. This is the Delta Lex Black, of course, with the legal motif or law motif. Being a lawyer, it was one of my first pens. This is the Delta Lex for law, black. By the way, this has the green ancient ivy that we just reviewed. It's got, this is the Delta 18 karat fusion nib that they invented way back when, and it's a stub. As you can see, there's the fusion is meant, you have a silver steel backed with a second layer of gold, which is supposed to heat up the first layer so that flow of the ink is accelerated or improved. Fountain pen therapy. Beautiful green. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, INKFORGE, I think you've got it. You've got it. We need to hire more. No, not hire. We need to buy more of those inks. This is the Delta. Does it right? I just inked it. Come on. Oh, this is the reservoir. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow the ink to flow down into the nib. So we'll put it aside and we'll come back to it because I just inked it. This is my Amalfi Magnifica. So that's certainly going to go well, of course, with that Amalfi ink, which is this one. Amalfi Coast. Okay, it's got the barrel made out of wood from the olive trees in Amalfi. Okay, so this is the Delta Magnifica Amalfi. And it has a Delta 18 karat fusion nib. And this is is it a medium? No, a broad. Just writes just so beautifully. The ink is perfect. Perfect for this pen. One of my favorite. Then, well, we've seen this already, but we're just going to write with it again. This is the Wing Sung. .629, and it's got a fine nib. And last but not least, my Pelikan 363, which doesn't write great. Still working on it. But we're getting there. P363 Epoch. There we go. Okay. Now we just got that Delta reservoir. Okay, we're back with the Delta reservoir. It should have, the ink should have descended nicely into the feed. It's been a little while, but we shall see. So this is the, Delta reservoir. It's the purple. This is still the metal reservoir that's in there. So for those of you who are not familiar, Delta's made a pen with this big reservoir of ink. Originally came out with metal, and now I think they do it in acrylic or in plastic, which makes the pen a little bit lighter. I prefer the metal one. This has got a Yowo
number 6 steel, and this is a broad nib. And the ink is, of course, this Crimson Eclipse. Wow, what a beautiful red. I am very pleased with these inks. Yeah, we're going to get them all. I know he's got several other colors, so we're going to get on the internet and just order a bunch, or maybe write to him and say, send me the rest. There you have it. So, that is my my weapons for the week. And we're going to have a lot of fun with these Delta pens, let me tell you. And I'm going to work on that Pelikan and maybe revisit it next week, and I'll let you know how it all works out. So there you have it, folks. Weapons for next week. And, of course, those weapons deserve, this very, very nice Japanese pen case. So I'm going to put them all in this pen case because it's Delta, and they deserve that pen case. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with the last segment, which is 2 YouTube reviews. First of all, my own channel. Well, last week, we've got, of course, last Sunday's recap. You can always take a look at these recaps, folks, and look back because they're, time-stamped, and there's all kinds of information. One day I was thinking about creating an index to all these recaps with all the various pens and stuff that I looked at, so that people, if they're interested, can take a look at that. What else I did? Inlaid nibs, of course, as you saw in the Pen Revisited section. It created some debate and some controversy, which is always great in the comments. And for next week, I have 2 videos that I'm not sure which is going to get published, and perhaps a third that I'm working on. One is the 146 and 149 Mont Blanc and their clones, inspirations, and fakes. And the other one is the Pelikan M series, a flock of grails, as I like to call them. Beautiful pens. Give you my own opinion on all of those members of the M series and which ones I prefer, etc. So that's to look forward as well. As far as YouTube reviews from other reviewers, I have 2 to propose. One, take a look at Doodlebud. He's got a buyer's guide to Muji paper. If anybody's looking for an inexpensive fountain pen friendly paper, Muji paper is definitely something to look at. So Muji paper, and I'm not sure I covered Muji paper as a possible alternative to Tomo River. So I'm going to have to take a look at that, and that's why that video kind of reminded me of that. I've got Muji paper, not a problem, so maybe we'll do that next week. And then, of course, I have my friend Matthew at the Wet Pen, who reviews 2 more Vizier pens. Vizier, one of my favorite Indian pen makers, along with Ranga and Lotus. They make very inexpensive and beautiful pens. Take a look at Vizier. There's 2 Vizier pens that the Wet Pen reviewed last week. So that's always a lot of fun, especially the way Matthew does his videos. Very, very entertaining. So there you have it in terms of YouTube reviews. And that's it for this recap. If you've gotten this far and you haven't subscribed, please do. It helps the channel, and it's obviously free, and it gives you, just a notification when I publish a new video, and you can take a look at it without really doing any searching. So there you have it, folks. Have a great week. Enjoy your pens, your paper, and your inks. Ciao.